What's going on, everybody? This is MaxTheCatfish, and if you're anything like me, you are waiting for that next big update for Satisfactory to come out. It's been a little while since the last major update to the game, so today I have got 5 games that are like Satisfactory. Whether you've been enjoying Satisfactory the last few months, or you just like factory builders and automation games in general, I've got something for you in this list. Let's jump right into it with my first recommendation. It might just be me, but I feel like Shapes.io had a bit of a sleeper release. I mean, with a trailer like this, who wouldn't be excited, right? I've got to admit, Shapes sat in my Steam library for weeks until I decided to give it a whirl, and I am incredibly impressed. In Shapes, you and your hub are placed in a seemingly infinite expanse, with the singular goal of providing these boring, gray circles to the center of your new universe. Completing this task unlocks a new building, if we want to call it that, and you are now able to slice those circles in half, and you're coupled with the requirement to supply half circles to the hub now in exchange for a new challenge, and so on and so forth. Your tasks become more complex and varied, requiring you to create and supply complex, multicolor shapes and patterns to the hub. Brilliantly, all of the shapes you've created in the early game are necessary to progress in the late game, so you're incentivized to create efficient factories from the onset of the game. This forces outward expansion, where the available shapes look less like what you would call a shape and more like a Robert Delaunay painting. As you complete more and more complex tasks, you upgrade the speeds of your extractors, your belts, your cutters, your rotators, and the other constructions around the map. And you are continually challenged to create new and unique, sprawling factory designs just to get that one last upgrade to your speed. Now, Shapes.io's challenge is both infinite and randomized, and this is one of its greatest assets. The first few challenges in the game are constant. They're going to teach you how to use each of the buildings at your disposal. But after level 18, you're assigned a random challenge at each new level. This means that you can play the game pretty much infinitely, and with procedurally generated levels, it means that no 2 playthroughs of Shapes are going to be the same. Aside from its hyper-clean aesthetic, I was struck by the incredibly intuitive control scheme of the game. Left-click places an item, right-click removes it. And each of the constructions along the bottom row are tied to a number key, which makes it really easy for you to place miners, conveyor belts, and balancers really quickly. Like Satisfactory, Shapes has no pressure of time, and the resources on the map are infinite. There are no enemies to defend against. You also build for free, and you don't need to supply power to your constructions. So you might be thinking that these abstractions are going to make the game a little too simple, right? But what if I were to tell you that Shapes.io's minimalism is exactly why the game is worth playing? In fact, you've got all the buildings available to you in Satisfactory. You've got belts, of course, but also splitters and mergers. You have tunnels, which are arguably a little bit more of a Factorio thing, but stay with me here. You've got miners, of course, and backwards assemblers. We're skipping this one. Painters are a bit like foundries. Kind of. The trash can is a little bit like an awesome sink, but without rewards, and your hub is like an upscaled version of a space elevator. Okay, that was an absolute garbage analogy, but I'm telling you, the game is worth playing. It is equal parts logic puzzle and puzzle. Just fitting everything onto the space that you have and making sure that you aren't stumbling over creations that you built in the early game as you're expanding into the late game. It is a challenge in and of itself. And if you're one of those people that gets as much enjoyment as watching those incredible Lego machine creations as I do, then you're going to absolutely adore Shapes.io as a relaxing, no pressure factory building experience. Far and above the most complicated game on this list, due to the variety of mechanisms at play, including managing solids, liquids, and gases, is Oxygen Not Included. The game plays a little bit more like a complex physics simulator, where the fate of your adorable and mischievous little duplicants hangs on the delicate balance of your every decision. Oxygen Not Included is 1 part colony manager, 1 part logistics and automation designer, and 1 part fast track to therapy. Your duplicants find themselves in the center of an asteroid with a limited supply of food and oxygen. And like many games in the genre, without story or explanation, you're dropped right into the action. At the surface, you need to balance the needs of your duplicants, establishing a source of food, be it grown by hand or otherwise, as well as water, basic needs like sleep, and access to a state-of-the-art interplanetary rocket capable of traversing the stars in search of, well, we haven't thought that far forward yet. Whatever they bring back is fine. But dig a bit into the game and you'll find that the mechanisms at work are far more complex than they seem at first glance. That coal generator that you built 2 hours ago sure is producing a lot of hot carbon dioxide. Where are you putting it again? Oh, you haven't thought that far ahead? And now your colony is a balmy 90 degrees Fahrenheit and half of it is unlivable? Yeah, oxygen not included is unforgiving. And the eventual downfall of your colony will likely be due to a mistake that you made 10 hours ago, which makes the lessons that you learn during each playthrough very powerful indeed. I had a 20-hour colony go belly up because I was supplying enough oxygen necessary to help me beat Deep Blue in chess, but I hadn't considered that breathing and living in a 100-degree oxygenated environment wouldn't be the most comfortable for my duplicants. But in the many challenges that Oxygen Not Included provides, it offers 3 times as many possible solutions. In that example with the coal generator, what if you set up some kind of automation to vent the CO2 out into space and just remove it from your colony altogether? Or maybe you build a carbon skimmer and you use the resulting polluted water to fertilize your crops. Or you create a farm of adorable little slicksters who consume CO2 and poop out crude oil. It's freaking fantastic. Oxygen Not Included may be the game farthest from Satisfactory on this list, but it's here because the systems in the game, like creating oxygen, growing crops, providing power, even supplying bathrooms with usable water, can be automated to reduce the strain on your duplicants and keep them focused on more important tasks. In fact, this automation is almost necessary to progress further in the game, and the unlocks in the research tree are practically begging you to experiment with the numerous widgets and dinglebops that can help your duplicants live a life of relative ease. Lastly, the developers of the game continue to update the game with major updates, tweaks to buildings and balancing, and adding features that improve the game experience and help keep things fresh. They've announced that a new DLC for the game is going to be released sometime in 2020, so if you've played the game before and played it through, there may be something new for you to come back to soon. Otherwise, it's absolutely worth a look at Oxygen Not Included if you're looking for a colony simulator with gameplay puzzles very different from Satisfactory, but still scratch that automation and efficiency itch. Many of you may already be familiar with Factorio, known colloquially as 2D Satisfactory or Cracktorio. But what you may not have heard about this game that entered early access at the beginning of 2016 is that its 1.0 version finally released in August, and it's had 4 years of constant updates, improvements, and polishing made to the game. Many of the concepts you enjoy in Satisfactory are here, and it's probably fair to say that Satisfactory borrowed a lot of inspiration from its 2D predecessor. You mine up minerals, refine them into ingots, and process them into plates and screws. You conduct science to unlock new technologies in the menu. And honestly, I was struck when I first played Satisfactory how familiar the game felt, and it's because of the incredible overlap of concepts and progression between the two games. But while Factorio and Satisfactory have a lot of similarities, they differ greatly in the type of puzzles that each one provides. Satisfactory's third dimension allows you to branch out upwards, and it's incredibly forgiving if you accidentally run out of space. But Factorio requires you to plan out your factory constructions much more in advance. The puzzle that you need to unravel for each game is completely different, such as designing for Factorio's unique double-sided conveyor belts, and its inserters that move items from one belt to another. You're also under a bit of a time and resource crunch. Not only are resources limited in the game, but the local fauna on the planet frequently attack your base in waves, and that requires you to defend yourself in this kind of turret defense mechanic. That is, if your turrets are actually train-mounted artillery cannons. Did I mention there are train-mounted artillery cannons? Yeah? Moving on. It might be worth noting here that Factorio is far more difficult than Satisfactory. In the tutorial alone, I died 3 times. Like Oxygen Not Included, the game feels far more unforgiving than Satisfactory's go-with-the-flow feel. And that's good. For those of you that are looking for a greater combat challenge than the one that Satisfactory currently provides, I think you'll really enjoy Factorio. Like I mentioned, if you've played Satisfactory for any amount of time, Factorio is going to feel very familiar. The game lacks a third dimension, but it has no lack of depth, complexity, and challenge for you as a player. It's oily, it's gritty, it looks more like the world's first cell phone compared to Satisfactory's Apple iPhone, right? But don't let its looks fool you. The game is incredibly well polished after 4 years of development, and it has a breadth of online resources available to help you navigate and survive your first few waves of biters. If you can look past its divisive graphical style, Factorio presents a deep and alluring time sink that will keep you awake into the late hours of the night. You might be surprised to find Subnautica on this list. The game doesn't really feature automation, and it's relatively story-based, unlike the other entries here. But Subnautica shares something with Satisfactory that I think, frankly, many Satisfactory players overlook about the game, and that's an incredibly beautiful and immersive, explorable world. I first booted up Subnautica expecting to splash around with Ariel, swim with some dolphins, be done with it. But instead, I found myself in awe of the absolute beauty in this game. The well-crafted biomes, the unique creatures, the surprising depth of the number of different mechanics crammed into this unsuspecting package had me reaching for a second playthrough once I'd finished the game. If you aren't so much interested in the story, that's okay. The story elements of the game more act as a context and a backdrop for your goals, such as finding new resources, uncovering ancient technology. I have to stop there. It's practically impossible not to spoil this game. In fact, the scenes I've shown during this section of the video are contained to only the first hour of gameplay. I've had to cut out some big events. And that is how important it is to me that your first entry into the game is fresh and unspoiled. There are some massive reveals in this game that shook my understanding of what Subnautica was supposed to be in the first place, and that's all I'm going to say about it. If you loved exploring the planet in Satisfactory and you're looking for a comparable experience with some base building and emphasis on exploration and analysis, look no further than Subnautica. Also know that Subnautica Below Zero is in early access currently. I haven't played it yet because I'm waiting for the full release of the game, but I have heard of a small amount of tumult regarding the game's story elements and the change to include a speaking protagonist, which some have said is a bit of a departure from the first game's incredible sense of immersion. I'm holding my opinion about these until the game is finished and I actually get a chance to play, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't touched early access yet. Just know there's a new game in the series on the horizon if you've already played the original, and there's going to be something fresh and new for you to experience sometime soon, or you can get in on it early in early access now. The Minecraft modding scene seems absolutely endless, even to this day. And you may not have expected it to be on this list, but there are a bunch of mods and mod packs that act as completely new gameplay experiences to the game, or maybe completely redefine how Minecraft actually plays. Here are a few ways to turn your copy of Minecraft into a factory builder and automation style game. First off is the Industrial Foregoing mod. Previously known as the Minecraft Reloaded mod, this adds a bunch of new cubes to automate stuff like planting and harvesting, farming, and breeding as well. It's an easy one-and-done kind of mod that doesn't try to overhaul your entire Minecraft experience, unlike the Factorio mod pack. This turns Minecraft into Factorio. It adds several machines akin to those in Factorio, including the ability to create different science files that are used to unlock further technologies in the game. It's a really interesting rendition of Factorio in a completely new skin, and it's worth looking into as a full factory overhaul for the game. Another mod pack is the Serious Engineering mod pack made by Serious Creeper. It compiles several mods together to create biome-specific resources and ore veins that can be mined indefinitely, similar to the ore nodes in Satisfactory, and several other tweaks to the game that encourage building a sprawling logistics network across the map. It's a really neat overhaul for the game that adds a bunch of new functionality that's worth looking into. And lastly is a mod pack unlike any I've ever seen. This one is called Compact Claustrophobia. It's a total overhaul for Minecraft where players begin the game in a 3x3 cube and must solve puzzles and challenges to increase their available building area. Gradually, you increase the size of the area inside the cube and you tackle more complex quests and challenges and puzzles inside. This unique mod pack features its own custom scripting and guide for the player, and it challenges you to build setups in this really compact area, so you're going to have to really churn your brain to get through the challenges that it provides. If you want to learn more about any of these mods or mod packs for Minecraft, you can check out Sneaky the Lost, Frogman79, Serious Creeper, and Gaming on Caffeine, who all very graciously allowed me to use their video footage to highlight these mods and packs. Links to their channels are down below in the description. Now, these were just 5 games similar to Satisfactory that I've played and I highly recommend, but there are many, many more out there. What's your favorite factory builder out there? Let me know in the comments below and I might feature it in a new video. Also, keep a lookout on the channel here for more game reviews and gameplay coming up soon. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you found this useful, don't forget to drop it a like. Lastly, you can check us out live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over at twitch.tv/MaxTheCatfish, where we play games, we talk about new releases, and just have a fantastic time. It's a really cool place to hang out, so I hope to see you there, either on Twitch or on our next video here on YouTube. See you soon.
I wasn't too small, it wouldn't do that, but I'm a little bit worried.
Darn, I did the pitch in the wrong direction. I was supposed to sound small, not demonic. No! I messed it up! No!